Dr. Alexander Mirtchev, Board Director at the Atlantic Council, joins us from Washington. Dr. Mirtchev, we spoke ahead of the G8 meeting on what to anticipate. You were here in the studio last week, and we said we'd catch up with you after the meeting just to hear whether or not they came through with anything. What do you make in the aftermath of G8?
First, very nice to see you. And I think that the limited policy implications actually mean that the limited policy implications are the immediate results. Actually, it's really overarching summit that defined certain important areas that are going to be with us for the times to come. So first and foremost, the important part is tackling the global economic recovery in a pretty organized way, filling the coffins of the governments, and second, addressing issues that were pressing and due to be addressed for quite a while, namely the functioning of the global financial and in particular trade system in a new economic realities. Here we have tangible impulses, and they are going to be in the right direction or wrong direction. The time is going to show, but in general it's a definitive move that is going to affect the way we're doing business, the way we're living, and the way the companies operate as well as individuals. So in that regard, it was a meeting with impact.
Yeah, meeting with impact, and some would also say, well, you had an additional $1.5 billion pledged towards Syria, as well as humanitarian aid, and you also saw a lot of movements on a change in tax regulation too. Was there anywhere in the G8 communique where you thought that you wanted to see more?
Actually, you know, at the end of the day, what is important is for this meeting is, first, the meeting covered all the bases. Probably this is always the nature of the beast under this type of circumstances, namely from the climate change, for Syria, to the tax avoidance. All the issues were on the table and one or another has been addressed. However, on Syria, probably the most important fact that has been omitted is actually dealing with the hot issues like arming the rebels, like the way the Assad regime is going to be dealt with on a long run, even though all the parties involved believe it's obvious. And most importantly, I think that the base of what is happening there is the historical end of the Sykes-Picot Agreement in 1916, that kind of distributed in a way the Middle East between France and Great Britain. So it's over. So we're going to see a totally new geopolitical and geo-economic realities in place, and they are hardly going to be addressed and dealt with simply via removing one or another dictator from a certain country.
I'm really happy to hear that there were climate change discussions. I wish we had more decisions around there. But talking about the trade part, do you actually think that the EU-US trade discussions can lead somewhere when you look at all the different regulations, and we're talking about overall 100 billion, you know, type of potential uplift? Do you have any view on the effectiveness of the talk?
I think that it's quite early to say what is going to happen, as always. But at the end of the day, what is important is that the talks have started. So this is the fundamental fact that we should keep in mind. Second, we have kind of a geo-economic realignment that has occurred the last 5-10 years that is going to be reflected in the trade blocks or the trade arrangements, no matter what the different countries think about whether it's fair, not fair, whether it's the right thing to do or not right thing to do. At the end of the day, the trade barriers, the way that we deal with the specter of protectionism needs to be dealt with in the new terms. And the trade blocks, as defined by the current agendas, are going to be part of the new realignment.
Dr. Mirtchev, thank you very much. Dr. Alexander Mirtchev, Board Director at the Atlantic Council.